Joe Pugh for Pep Talk UK, joined today by announcer David Diamante. How are you, David?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Joe. Nice to see you.
Brilliant, brilliant. We're at the final press conference for Lara versus Warrington 2, the big rematch in Leeds. How good is it to have fans back, David?
Well, I think there's nothing like it. You know, look, we all love boxing, but with the fans there, it's better for the fighters. It's better for everybody, and I think Headingley is going to be a very exciting atmosphere. 20,000 strong.
Brilliant, and what a great card it is. Conor Benn, Katie Taylor, Hughes versus Straffon, which is a sleeper. Which is your pick of the card, David?
It's really tough. It's tough. Hughes Straffon is a really interesting fight, man. I mean, Straffon is just a straight street fighter, and he's going to bring it. And he's as tough as they come, but he's not going to box. So Maxie's going to have a plan for that. We'll see if he can do what Tennyson was not able to do. But that's a cracking little fight. I think Katie Taylor and Jennifer Hahn is a better fight than people think. Jennifer Hahn comes from a fighting family, former IBF featherweight champion. I know her brother AB for many years from El Paso, Texas. Did his fight back in '09 in San Diego, she just had her second kid. She is a very tough fighter. She's tricky, and she's very proud. So I think Katie Taylor's going to have her hands full. It should be an interesting fight. Obviously, Ben Granados, that's one that we were hoping to see at Fight Camp the first time around. And, obviously Conor came down with COVID. He's now come through that on the other side, and he is chomping at the bit. I mean, he looks really ready for this test, but so is Granados. Granados was really upset that he came over here. He's with his trainer George. They came over to London. We were at Fight Camp. We were there all week. They were actually on the podcast. I did them on the Matchroom Radio podcast, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled. It was tough for everybody, but I think Adrian, I think he felt something kind of personal about it. He really wants to make a statement. This time he's back. He's got his parents here, and he's fought a murderer's row at 147. And he's never fought, which is amazing, he's never fought for a world title. After fighting all these guys at 147, he's never fought for a world title. And I think he feels overlooked, and I think he wants to make a statement and show that, look, I want world honors. And obviously Conor, I mean, he's hitting on all cylinders right now. And he's very popular right now in the UK. And why not? He's a super exciting fighter. He's trained really hard for this fight. We're going to see what happens.
Definitely. And obviously, apart from this card, we know you're a boxing historian yourself, David. We saw the defeat of Manny Pacquiao versus Usyk. Just a quick word on Manny Pacquiao. Do you think he should retire?
That would never be for me to say. I have to say, I think that the fight was closer than a lot of people think. I feel like, Pacquiao was not the Pacquiao of old. There's no doubt about that. He didn't have the same legs, but he's still a hell of a fighter. I think that's for Pacquiao to decide. I think either way, he is a legend. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think what he's done in the sport and for the sport's absolutely amazing. And obviously, I think he has aspirations to go on and maybe run for the presidency of the Philippines, which is just huge. And so he might be working on some bigger stuff than a next fight. But I think that'd have to be for him to decide.
Yeah, definitely. And another big fight coming up. We've got Canelo versus Caleb Plant, the undisputed fight. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Well, I love that they made the fight, and Caleb Plant's extremely tough. It's going to be hard to see anyone beating Canelo right now. It's just he's really hitting on all cylinders. But yeah, that's a massive fight. It's a massive fight, and if he can get all the pieces at 168, we'll see where he goes from there. Maybe he goes up and got all these fights at 175 with Beterbiev or who else, whoever else is up there. There are a lot of great fighters, maybe Bivol, all kinds of guys at 175. But the Caleb Plant, he's got to get through him first, and the Caleb Plant fight is he's got to get through Caleb Plant first, and it's a very tough fight. So we'll see. I mean, I can't wait. I'll be watching.
Do you think anyone can beat Canelo?
Yeah, I mean, can anyone beat Canelo? Yeah, I think he's a man. I mean, anyone can be beat. Will anyone beat Canelo? That's the better question. I don't know. Caleb Plant certainly seems to think that he can. We're going to find that out. I don't know if he can. It would seem a very tough test at this point, tough task at this point.
Definitely, certainly just the fighter that's on fire, and another fighter that's on fire at the minute, a fight that I'm sure you'll be involved in with announcing of the card. If not, the fight is AJ versus Usyk. We're less than 4 weeks out now. What a great fight, what a great card at Tottenham, David.
Oh, the Tottenham Hotspur's stadium is going to be lit that night. It'll be on fire. AJ Usyk it's a dangerous fight for both fighters. I really believe it's a dangerous fight for both fighters. I could see many different outcomes to this fight. I think a lot of people just think AJ is going to knock Usyk out. He's going to have to cut off the ring. He's going to have to get to him, and that might be tougher to do than people think. Usyk's really tricky. He's a very, very well schooled fighter. Obviously Olympic champion, obviously undisputed cruiserweight champion. Like, he knows his way around the squared circle. He knows what he's doing. He can fight, and he's also got a winner's mentality. So, but again, everyone's a man, everyone's a human. Anyone can be beat. So someone's going to get beat that night, and we're going to find out. So it's going to be very interesting. But if I'm AJ, I want to come in there and I want to put it on him. If I'm Usyk, I want to stay away from him, because I don't know if Usyk has the power to stop a guy like AJ. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I think it'd be very hard to see that.
Definitely. And finally, David, last night we saw the little tweet from Billy Joe Saunders that for $5 million he will fight Chris Eubank Jr. Is that a fight that, as a fan, you would like to see?
Well, money out of it, because I have that the money means nothing to me on that. Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, sure. It's a cool fight. Yeah, I would love to see that fight.
Who would you think wins that fight?
Well, I think it would have to depend on what happens leading up to it, because I think we'd have to see what these guys look like in their training camps. But I like that Chris Eubank is with Roy Jones Jr. I think he's learned a lot from him. He's looked good in his last time out. We'll see. BJ Saunders is a really tricky fighter, though. He's a hell of a fighter, and look, he did very well in the Canelo fight until he didn't. Right, so we know he's very tough, and he's a very well-schooled fighter also. Great fight, like that fight.
Definitely. David Diamante, thank you for giving me some of your time today. I know you've got your Matchroom Radio to do. Give it a little plug, because that's a absolutely fantastic podcast, and hopefully speak to you again soon.
Joe, I really appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Pep Talk UK.
Cheers, David.